To order. First item, previous business, approving previous meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next order of business, current business. Item 1, authorizing a lease agreement for the rental of corporate suite number 13 at the Times Union Center. Mr. Felber, Mr. Latino.
So this is a renewal for suite number 13. Protective Industrial Products was in this suite in the past. The partner that they had in as a 50% partner was Metro Ford. MVP was actually a partner in a different suite with KeyBank for approximately the last 12 years. So MVP has been a suite holder for a long time. When KeyBank merged with First Niagara, they asked MVP to not be with them in the future.
Get out.
I'll be as nice as I can in saying that. And when the Metro Ford did not renew, it was a natural to keep MVP and just slide them into this suite. So we're asking for a renewal and a move of MVP into this suite.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Motion approved. Mr. Cunningham, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, authorizing an agreement with Architecture Plus for the design and construction administration of the proposed renovations of permanent concession stands at the Times Union Center.
Yes, an RFP was put out for the redesign, and Architecture Plus was chosen under the highest scoring under the criteria of the scoring. And this project is 100% county financed.
It's $100,000, Dave?
Yes.
And there's been no real improvements down there in that area for 25 years?
Yeah, they haven't been done in the last 25 years. The concession stands haven't been done. We looked at the criteria of the best designers and the most, I would say, experience in this type of project.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a question. It says that it generates revenue for the county, but that's just sales tax, right?
No, that's also, so the concessions, we receive a commission percentage from every dollar that is brought in through the contract we have with Aramark.
Okay.
So, but some of the equipment that's in the concession stands that are the cookers and fryers and so forth are old. You know, they're cleaned regularly, but they're old. And there's some ovens in the kitchen that need to be replaced. So in the scope, there's also equipment replacement as part of the overall.
I wasn't aware of that we got a percentage, that's all.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, motion approved. Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody said yes. They didn't really
Number 3, authorizing an agreement with Insight Wireless Group for distributed antenna system for the Times Union Center.
I'm going to have Doug McLean take this. Doug is our assistant GM and also the general manager of the Albany Capital Center. He's done a really, really good job of putting this together, so I'd like to let him take this.
Okay.
So this project went out to RFP in November of 2016. We received 4 proposals back, 4 aggressive proposals. Insight Wireless offered Albany County the highest in revenues and guaranteed revenues of $500,000. They also offered the highest on escalator clauses after the renewals of the initial 10-year term. They will be investing close to $5 million in infrastructure and building the actual system between the Times Union Center and the Albany Capital Center. And what the DOS system does, just as background, is it relieves the cellular networks. So when there's 15,000 people in the Times Union Center at once and you don't have cell service, that's because there is no existing DOS system in there. So what this system will do is load everybody onto the DOS system and free up the network in the Albany area. As you can see by the way the bids came in, it's a great revenue source, and it's also needed by the cellular partners. In addition to the $500,000, there is also a $50,000 sign-on for each carrier that that Insight acquires, so for Verizon, Sprint, AT&T. Because the system is split between the two buildings, it made it a more aggressive project, which resulted in the higher revenues.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Conahan?
A couple of quick ones. Is the Capital Center involved in this, or are we carrying the ball on managing this?
No, this is between the two. So because the building is, because the majority of the structure due to the size of the facilities, 75% of the system lives in the Times Union Center, and then 25% of it lives within the Capitol Center. And that is, if you notice in the recommendations, is what we suggested as our revenue split between the two facilities. Also, Insight is required to reimburse the county for any utilities that they use. They have to sub-meter or have a direct account with National Grid for any electrical costs as well.
Okay. And it's a 10-year according to this, and 2 5-year renewals?
Correct.
Mutual renewals or unilateral?
Mutual.
Okay.
And that's where the first renewal is a 55% increase, and the second renewal is a 60%.
Okay.
So it's a 5% escalator on each renewal.
Okay. Thanks.
So this is a zero cost to the county. It's a revenue generator, and of the revenue that comes in, 75% stays with the county, and 25% goes to the Albany Capital Center. And it's a $500,000 up front, so we get 75% of that right up front. And then on the renewals, there's the additional revenue that Doug mentioned. This is I don't know of another DOS system proposal that's anywhere near this in any of the other company, or any of the other buildings that we have in our company. So I give a lot of credit to the process, to your RFP process that was used, but also the way that Doug was able to really vet out the bids and understand better what each one was proposing.
Thank you. Any other questions?
This one.
Yep.
Not to be dense, but how are they making money, Bob? Well,
So they'll charge a rental fee to the carriers to be on the system. And then the system obviously is enhanced to their network. So Verizon's network will improve as a result of renting out. So Verizon will pay to be on the network. And that's how they get their money.
and we're not privy to what they're getting paid.
We're not, but you do share in the revenues. So the monthly revenues, that's where the 50% split is on their revenues. We don't know what they charge them, but they do have to show us their financials.
Oh, thank you.
So if you're down, I'm sorry,
Okay.
if you're in downtown Albany, when we have 15,000 people in the building, they're all using their cell phones, you're having a delay in getting your service to work in downtown Albany, because without the DOS system, they're using the network, and there's just not enough network capabilities in downtown.
That sounds like a good added benefit there.
Certainly is.
Arnes?
My members, they had two questions, one of which Mr. Mayo just asked, was how do you make money? The second question was, there was just an article about the Palace, where Chris Rock is coming in and you're putting your cell phones into bags so you can't use them. Is this going to somehow, is there some way to actually shut the system down? Does this have any integration with the whole idea of shutting people down?
That's not anything that we've talked about. It's not anything that has even come to play in any discussions. You know, there's very few artists that actually, I think I've only seen two in the last 10 years that have restricted or eliminated the use of cell phones. You know, most are asking them to put their phone out and let everybody see the light. So they're certainly not restricting the use of it.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion is passed. And item 4 is reviewing income statements.
So the month of February actually was a good month. We are a little bit ahead of budget on the month overall as compared to what we had budgeted. Just looking real quick here, if you don't mind. Yeah, I have to apologize to you because I'm going to have to give you a different sheet. This is not the final February sheet, so I apologize to you for that. We're ahead on month of February by a significant amount as compared to being behind. And I don't know if it's that this was sent over at an earlier time than when we had the financials completed or not, but I will get you a revised one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We're ahead of budget.
We're ahead of budget through February, and we will be ahead of budget even in a much bigger way through March. The month of March is probably the best month of March that we've had since the building opened.
Okay.
So it's going to be a huge month, and we'll be ahead of budget quite a bit by the end of this month.
Okay, well, thank you. That's good to hear that the updated information has more positive numbers, and we'll look forward to seeing that.
Can you get that to me, Bob, and I'll get it to the members of the committee?
Absolutely. I apologize for the mistake that was sent out to you.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Okay, meeting is adjourned.